Hey everyone, Duke here, and today we're talking about the absolute best farm for high stat armor in Destiny 2. I've talked about this farm a few times in the past, but I think a lot of people aren't aware of just how good, easy, and fast this farm is. And another great thing about this farm is it is doable by any player of Destiny 2 at any level, as it is a 1600 power activity. The farm we're talking about is the final boss of the Pit of Heresy dungeon. As a part of the weekly featured rotator, this dungeon is infinitely farmable every few weeks, and this week is its featured week. The final boss specifically guarantees two different stats that are 16 or higher every single time you defeat it, and very often drops armor with total stats in the mid-60s or higher, giving you the best of both worlds for both spiky stats as well as high stats. You can also fully take advantage of the armor or ghost mods using this farm, which allows you to basically pick one of those two stats that will be spiky based on the armor mod of your choosing. I've talked about why I personally prefer the Discipline armor mod in depth in a previous video where I talk about all the possible high stat armor farms, which I'll link in the description, but you're of course welcome to choose the armor mod of your choice. I would just make sure to definitely always be using one in this farm to help influence exactly the stats you want to receive. Now I know a lot of folks are looking more for Artifice armor for the guaranteed +3 stat of your choice, and this farm does not include Artifice as there's no master version of this dungeon. With how easy and consistently spiky and very high stat armor this farm is, you're gonna get much better armor on average much easier and quicker than farming the master dungeons. It also doesn't help that the current Artifice armor is dropping much lower than in seasons past, so this may change with the new dungeon releasing next season if that one hopefully drops consistently higher stat armor. But the important thing to remember is a great non-Artifice piece from this dungeon is going to be straight up better than a decent Artifice piece with the recent Artifice changes, as the only thing that matters now is the stats that you're getting from them, as there's no Artifice specific mod slot anymore. For those that are newer, basically that mod slot used to allow you to use your artifact mods in an extra slot, but artifact mods are no longer in your armor anyway. Do note that of course this is still worth getting an Artifice class item, but this is a one and done drop as they don't have stats outside of the +3 Artifice slot, and class items do not drop from this pit armor farm anyway. In case you're new to how checkpoint farming works, basically you'll want to have this checkpoint on one character that you aren't farming the loot on, load in, switch characters, and then rejoin your team on the character that you do want the loot on. Then after defeating the boss and getting the loot, you can immediately switch characters back to the character that was holding the checkpoint, invite your team to the game, and as soon as they start loading in, you can switch characters again back to the character that you're farming the loot on. This allows for you to keep running this same checkpoint as many times as you'd like. I've also had questions in the past about running farms like this during non-featured weeks. You can still run this boss fight whenever you'd like, but you will only be able to get a drop once per week per character instead of infinite like during the featured week. High stat armor is something that many players are really starting to get into farming and looking for, so I hope this video helped you on your farming journey. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful day.